Hi everyone, welcome to the Whiteleyverse with me, Connor Whiteley, for another daily story with a chapter from one of my novellas. Before I start today's chapter, please remember to like, comment and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any new content, and the engagement really helps the Whiteleyverse with the YouTube algorithm. Also, if you want to buy this book and any of my other fiction, then they're all available from all major ebook retailers. You can order the paperback and hardback copies from Amazon, your local bookstore and local library if you requested. Also, if you want the AI generated audiobook, then you can get it from selected audiobook platforms and library systems like Kobo, Spotify, Barnes & Noble, Google Play, Baker & Taylor, Biblioteca and Overdrive. Now, here's today's chapter. I hope you enjoyed as much as I did writing it.
Chapter 2. After fighting to protect humanity on hundreds of worlds, after killing more enemies than he cared to remember, and after being betrayed by more people than he wanted to think about, Commander Jericho Nelson had never ever expected to be in the employ of the very alien race that he had unfortunately killed out of blind obedience to humanity's monstrous leader known as the Rex. Jericho wasn't particularly a fan of this strategic position, as he stood on the very edge of a massive blood-red crater with gentle slopes. The slopes alone with its near-perfectly smooth red rocks made this a bad position to defend. Ideally, he would have loved to be in a crater with steep slopes that would slow down the enemies. Yet these awful red slopes wouldn't do anything to make his defense job any easier. The entire red, sandy, rocky planet wasn't ideal for defense. Jericho wasn't a fan of the massive red mountains in the distance that rose up from the ground like daggers, just waiting to kill him, his men and his alien allies. He really loved positions that were surrounded by flat ground, so he could see his enemies for miles before they actually got within striking distance. But he couldn't help his stomach tighten at the very notion of snipers setting up in the mountains to take him and his men out. The only major benefit of this crater that was there was a small rocky platform that his alien allies, the Keras, had created for him and his men. At least that way if there was an attack then they could easily hide, jump down and use it as their own sniper's nest. But Jericho just couldn't help focusing on the stormy sky above them. The blood-red clouds with small amounts of crimson swirled in them really didn't make Jericho feel at ease. The gathering storm looked evil, cold and like it was going to be the death of all of them. The entire planet smelt of damp sand with the odd hint of gun oil, burnt ozone and charred sage from the ritual that the Keras were hoping to perform in the crater. That made the great taste of roast dinner form on his tongue. Jericho stepped down onto the rocky platform, where the 5 remaining squad mates of his were all playing cards in their black battle armor. They were smiling, having fun and acting like there wasn't a single danger in the galaxy. Granted, Jericho didn't know if the ritual was going to be attacked. He was simply wanting to be sure because the Keras, or as this cult preferred to be called, the daughter of Genetrix, were paying a lot of Rexes for the job. He still didn't understand how none of the Keras fractions had any sort of currency, and their society was based on need and mutual respect. But these Keras were nice, kind and helpful, so Jericho didn't mind not understanding everything about them. Jericho looked down at the bottom of the crater and just shook his head. The Keras were wearing some kind of strange bright white robe that made them look even more like elves and fairies, because of their pointy features, unnaturally thin humanoid body and their almond-shaped eyes. They had to be finishing up the preparations, because Jericho noticed there were the 5 red, blue and purple soulstones that the Keras had been obsessed with for months. Apparently each of the soulstones contained a demigod belonging to their goddess of life, Genetrix. Jericho didn't buy it. But the Rexes were good, and he really wanted to upgrade his equipment and actually pay his men, so he really didn't care. "Commander, we are ready," a Keras said in a scarily good impression of Imperial tongue. Jericho nodded and he tightened his grip on his machine gun, and he gestured that his men should also start to get ready, because if an attack was going to happen, then it was going to happen very soon. Jericho watched his men go up to the top of the ridge of the crater, and he was about to join them when he caught what was happening with the Keras below. All of them were holding hands and sitting on the icy cold floor with sharp shards of rock digging into their asses. The 5 soul stones were in the middle, and they were glowing. The Keras started singing a beautifully sweet, perfect melody that made Jericho want to cry. Something he hadn't done in decades, and he felt the air crackle, buzz, and hum with magical energy around him. Jericho looked up and frowned as the thunder roared overhead. The violent storm clouds were coming together, and Jericho had a very, very bad feeling about this. It got even worse when an immense spherical warship belonging to the Rex appeared in between flashes of lightning. The Imperium was here, and they were going to attack.
Welcome back everyone, it's me again, Connor Whiteley. So I really hope that you enjoyed today's story, because I flat out love writing, creating stories and sharing them with you. If you really enjoyed today's story, then please remember to like, comment and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any new content, and the engagement really helps the Whiteleyverse with the YouTube algorithms. And if you want to buy this short story or any of my other fiction, then they're available from all major ebook retailers, and you can get them from your local library if you requested, and you can order the paperback copies from Amazon, your local bookstore or local library if you request it. Lastly, if you want to support the channel on a one-off basis, then you can now buy me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/Connor Whiteley. Also, if you know anyone who would enjoy today's story, then please share it with them. I'm always really grateful when you wonderful people help spread the word about the channel. So, thanks for watching the Whiteleyverse, and I'll see you again soon. Have a great day, everyone.